I had already started the sweet potato casserole when I got the message. "Hey, Mom," Amanda wrote. "Lena says it might be easier if you head out before guests arrive. Just to keep things simple, you know how the house gets crowded." I read the text twice, standing in my kitchen with cinnamon on my fingertips and my reading glasses sliding down my nose. The oven was still warm from the pumpkin pies I had pulled out an hour ago. My hands were sticky with marshmallow fluff. I stared at the screen a little longer, waiting for some sort of clarification. A joke? An apology? Something. But nothing came. It was 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I had spent the last week shopping, cooking, and prepping everything Amanda and Lena asked me to help with. Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. Turkey, stuffing, 2 pies, the green bean casserole with the crispy onions that Lena liked. The cranberry sauce made from scratch, not from a can. I even bought the table decorations, little napkin holders shaped like pumpkins and a centerpiece with fall leaves and candles. The plan was that I'd come over early, help finish setting the table, warm up the dishes, and stay for the full dinner like I always did. It's how we'd done it for years. I had been in charge of Thanksgiving since Amanda was a baby. It had always been my holiday, even after she got married. This year, though, was different. Lena had taken over the hosting duties, which I was fine with. "You've done enough all these years," Mom, Amanda, had said. "Let us give you a break." But the truth was, I hadn't felt like a guest. I'd still been the one doing all the work, just in a different kitchen. I set my phone down on the counter and looked around. The house was quiet. I lived alone now. My husband passed 4 years ago, and Thanksgiving was always the one time. I felt like I had a seat at the table again, a place to belong. That table didn't feel so close anymore. I wiped my hands on a towel and went to the sink, staring out the window while I rinsed out a measuring cup. My heart was beating hard in my chest, like it was confused. I felt hot in my face, but cold all over. I texted Amanda back. "Are you asking me not to come to dinner?" She didn't answer for almost 20 minutes. And when she did, it was worse than a yes. "It's just that Lena's family will be there too, and she wants it to feel balanced. It's not personal, Mom. We just think it might be better this way this year." I didn't reply. I didn't have the words. Instead, I went back to the counter, packed the food I had already made into containers, labeled them like I always did: turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, cranberry, and put them in the fridge. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and stared at the candles I had planned to bring to Amanda's. My fingers were trembling a little. It wasn't rage. It wasn't even heartbreak. It was something duller than that, something quieter, a kind of loss that didn't come with tears, just silence. I had been erased. Gently. The next morning, I loaded everything into my car anyway. The folding table, the boxes of food, the centerpieces. It felt robotic, like my hands didn't know what my heart had figured out already. I drove across town, parked in front of their house, and rang the bell. Amanda opened the door in sweatpants, her hair pulled back in a bun. "Oh, Mom, I didn't think you'd see." She trailed off when she saw the bags. "I just came to drop everything off," I said, my voice steady. "You said I should leave before guests arrive." She looked uncomfortable, but she didn't stop me. "Lena's still at work, but you can just put things on the counter." I stepped inside. The house already smelled like turkey. There were soft jazz songs playing from a speaker somewhere. I walked into the kitchen and began unloading the food, placing sticky notes on each container: reheat at 350 for 20 minutes. Serve with whipped cream. Carve the turkey after resting 30 minutes. Amanda hovered behind me. "You didn't have to do all this, Mom." Didn't answer. When I turned to go, she reached out, almost like she wanted to say something. But she didn't. She didn't say thank you. She didn't say sorry. She just stood there, watching me walk out of her house like I was the caterer. That night, I ate leftover soup in my kitchen alone. I lit one of the spare candles, one I had meant for the centerpiece. I didn't cry. I just sat there listening to the sound of nothing. Around 7:30, I opened Facebook. Lena had posted a photo. It was a beautiful table. My tablecloth, my candles, my place settings. The caption read, "Couldn't have asked for a better Thanksgiving with everyone who matters most." Everyone who matters most. I stared at those words for a long time. And I realized something I hadn't let myself admit until that moment. They didn't forget me. They removed me, and they didn't expect me to notice. But I did, and I wasn't going to let it happen again. The next morning, I deleted Facebook from my phone. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the way people imagine rage, yelling, slamming doors, breaking things. Mine came slower. It settled like something thick in the air, like humidity that made everything feel heavier. Kind of betrayal that didn't need shouting to. Be real, it just needed silence. And they had given me plenty of that. Amanda didn't call. Lena didn't text. No one asked how I was. Not the next day. Not the day after. Not even when I didn't show up for Black Friday breakfast, which had been our little tradition for years, the three of us sitting at that diner off Oak Street, laughing over leftover pie and coffee. That table stayed empty this year. I didn't bother reminding them. I didn't need another invitation they didn't mean. Instead, I spent the weekend cleaning. I scrubbed the fridge even though it wasn't dirty. I reorganized the pantry. I dusted the baseboards. I took down my fall decorations 2 weeks early. I didn't want to look at pumpkins anymore. On Sunday night, I found the tote bag Amanda had given me last year. It said, "Best Grandma Ever," in big gold letters. It was still in perfect condition, not because I hadn't used it, but because I had taken care of it. I stared at the words for a long time before folding it neatly and putting it in the donation bin with some sweaters I didn't like anymore. On Monday, I went to the bank. The woman behind the counter recognized me immediately. Her name was Bree. She always wore bright lipstick and complimented my scarves. "Hi, Mrs. Carter. How was your Thanksgiving?" she asked, cheerful as always. "It was quiet," I said simply. She smiled, tapping away at her computer. "That can be nice sometimes." Didn't answer. I handed her a folder with my account information. "I'd like to make some changes to the joint accounts I have with my daughter." Her hands paused above the keyboard. "Oh, Kay. You mean Amanda Carter?" I nodded. "I want to remove her. Access from the savings account, the emergency fund, and the grocery card." She blinked, clearly surprised. "Are you sure?" I didn't blink back. "Yes, I'm sure." Bree didn't ask any more questions. She just nodded and began typing. "You'll need to sign a couple of forms, but we can take care of it today." Sat down in the small office off to the side while she printed the documents. The room smelled like printer toner and old coffee, but I didn't mind the wait. When she returned, she had a yellow folder and a pen. I signed every page without hesitation. It took exactly 17 minutes. When it was done, Bree offered a hesitant smile. "Let us know if you need anything else." I stood, gathering my things. "Actually, I do." She looked up quickly. "Can you print me a fresh statement of everything that's now under my name only?" "Of course," she said, and within a minute, I had it in my hand. My name, alone. On everything that evening, I made myself a roast chicken with rosemary and lemon. I even made a small batch of stuffing and opened one of the pies I had originally baked for Amanda's dinner. It was good. Better than I remembered. I set the table for one and poured myself a glass of wine. Nothing fancy. It's just what I had in the pantry. I turned on the TV but muted it. I didn't need noise. I just wanted the room to feel full. After dinner, I sat down with my checkbook. For the past 5 years, I had paid Amanda and Lena's gas bill every December as a surprise gift. I had also contributed $300 a month to their grocery fund and paid for Julia's after-school art class. I had told myself it was love. That's what mothers do. They help. They support. They give. But this wasn't support anymore. It was dependence disguised as affection. And I was finally starting to see it. I canceled the automatic transfers one by one. Grocery, utility support, Julia's class, the cushion account I had set up in Amanda's. Name in case of emergencies. All gone, all closed. All mine again. The next day, my phone rang. Amanda, I let it go to voicemail. She called again 30 minutes later. I ignored it again. Then came the texts. Amanda, Mom, did you touch the grocery account? It's not working. Amanda, we're at the store and the card got declined. Amanda, call me, please. I didn't answer. She called a third time. This time I picked up. Hi, Amanda. I said calmly. Mom, what's going on? Why can't I use the card? And the savings account, did you shut it down? Okay, I can't access anything. I leaned back. In my chair? Yes, I did. There was a pause. What? Why? What's happening? I decided to separate my finances, I said. I realized they weren't really mine anymore. Amanda was silent. I heard Lena in the background asking something. You can't just do that without telling us, Amanda said, her voice rising. What about groceries? What about Julia's art school? You promised to cover that? No, I corrected. I offered. Okay, and I can change my mind. You're being spiteful. I'm being clear. Another pause. You're mad about Thanksgiving. I didn't say anything. That's what this is about. We just wanted to make things easier, Mom. Lena's family was coming, and we didn't. Want things to be awkward? I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was ridiculous. You told me not to come, I said, my voice still low, after I cooked, after I paid, after I showed up for all of you. And then you posted pictures with my decorations and my food and said, everyone who matters most. Amanda, I got the message loud and clear. That wasn't what we meant. But it's what you did. Silence. I'll let you go, I said, but I won't be paying for anything else moving forward. If Julia wants to continue her art class, I'll happily pay for it directly. You can send me the invoice, but nothing else. You're punishing us, she snapped. No, I said, standing up. I'm finally protecting myself. Then I hung up. That night, I slept better than I had in months. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was waiting for someone to call. I had been cut out of Thanksgiving like I was extra. Now they were about to find out what life looked like without me entirely, and I was just getting started. By the end of that week, Amanda had stopped texting. There had been a few more attempts after our last call, sharp messages that bounced between frustration and guilt. Amanda, I talked to Lena, and maybe we handled things wrong, but that doesn't mean you should be cutting us off. Amanda, this isn't fair to Julia. Amanda, are you seriously going to throw away everything because of one dinner? I didn't reply to any of them because it wasn't about one dinner. It was about years. Years of doing everything quietly without asking for credit. Years of being needed but never included. Years of handing over my time, my energy, my money, and then being told politely to stay out of the way. After our last conversation, I had started writing things down, a list of everything I had been covering. Not to be petty, just to see it in black and white. $300 a month for groceries, $145 a month for Julia's art school, $110 a month for their gas bill during winter, $1,200 gift to help them move into their house, $700 to cover Amanda's dental work last spring, $500 toward Lena's birthday weekend trip with her sisters. That I wasn't invited to $3,000? I paid last year for unexpected car repairs. Just this once, it added up fast. I hadn't even realized how much, and then I saw it clearly. They didn't consider it generosity. They saw it as routine. It's expected. It's my role. That role was done now. That Sunday, I got a visit I wasn't expecting. It was Lena. She showed up at my door with a tight smile and a store-bought coffee in her hand. Thought I'd stop by, she said, like we were friends catching up. I opened the door but didn't move to invite her in. I figured we should talk, she added, glancing past me into the house. Amanda's been really upset. Aline? Against the doorframe. She's free to call me. She says you won't answer. She's right. Lena's mouth pressed into a line. She handed me the coffee. I didn't take it. Look, I know Thanksgiving didn't go the way we all wanted, she said, smoothing her jacket like it was part of a performance. But you're taking this too far. We didn't mean for you to feel excluded. It was just a full house, and my family got a seat. I interrupted. She paused. My family didn't. I added. Lena exhaled, shifting her weight. I told Amanda it was a mistake to send that text. But what's done is done, right? The point is, we need to move forward. We're all family, and Julia misses you, does she? I asked, not with sarcasm, but with genuine curiosity. Or, do you miss what I do for her? That's not fair. No, I said. Fair would have been being treated like I mattered. Not like a background character in your little dinner party. Fair would have been saying, hey, we're overwhelmed, but we still want you here. Let's make room. Instead, you made a decision and now you're mad I made mine. Lena stood in silence, her hands wrapped around the untouched coffee cup. We counted on your help, she said finally. You always step up. I know, I replied, and that was my mistake. She didn't know what to say to that. I think we're done here, I said, and gently closed the door. I didn't hear from Amanda for 2 more days. Then came the knock. It was almost 8 p.m. dark already. And I was reading on the couch in my slippers when I heard it. I knew it was her. There was something about how people knock when they're not sure they'll be welcomed. I opened the door, slowly. She looked tired. Her coat was open and her eyes looked red. Mom, she said with a small breath. I didn't answer. I don't know how to fix this. I stepped back. Not as a gesture of forgiveness, just space. She walked in like she was holding herself. Together with string, she sat down at the table while I stayed standing. I didn't mean for things to get like this, she said, looking at her hands. You've always helped us, and I think I got used to that. Shouldn't have. I'm sorry I said nothing. Amanda sighed. Lena's under a lot of pressure. Her family is different. They have expectations. We were trying to balance everything. I let out a breath through my nose. Kay, and I was the part that didn't fit. No, she said quickly. It wasn't like that. Kay, it was exactly like that, I replied. You decided that the woman who cooked your food, paid your bills, and helped raise your daughter didn't belong at your table. Amanda looked like she might cry, but I didn't stop. Not this time. You made that decision together, and now you're shocked that I made mine. But Amanda, I've spent the last few years showing up for a family that stopped showing up for me. I was wrong, she said. You deserved better. That part stuck with me. Not because it fixed anything, but because it was finally true. I sat across from her. Julia still has her art class. I'll keep paying for it directly. You can tell her that. But the rest? No, that's not mine to carry anymore. Amanda nodded slowly. Okay, Kay, and I'm not ready to come over. Not for dinner. Not for holidays. Not yet. Another nod. We sat there in silence. Then she reached across the table slowly and took my hand. It didn't erase what happened, but it was something. I'll let you go, she said quietly, standing. Thank you for talking to me. I walked her to the door. As she stepped onto the porch, she turned back. I really am sorry. I nodded once, and then she left. That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Not angry, not upset. Just thinking. For years, I had been trying to earn a place in a house I helped build. Now, I wasn't trying anymore. I didn't know what came next, but I knew it would belong to me. 2 days after Amanda left my house, Lena called me. I was in the middle of cleaning out the hallway closet, the one where I kept old wrapping paper, half-broken decorations, and boxes of photos I hadn't touched in years. The phone rang on the kitchen counter. I saw her name and let it ring twice before picking up. Hello. Hi, Mrs. Carter. Her tone was stiff. Not angry, but clearly not warm. I just wanted to talk. Amanda said you spoke the other night. We did. There was a long pause, like she was waiting for me to say more. I just want to understand something, Lena finally said. Are you really not helping us anymore? Like, at all. I wiped my hands on a towel and leaned against the counter. That's right. But what about Julia's school fees? What about groceries, utilities? I mean, you've been part of our budget for years. It's exactly the problem, Lena, I said, not harshly, just directly. It's became part of your budget, not your family. It's not like that. No, I said. I didn't. Not until Thanksgiving. She exhaled sharply. We didn't mean to push you out. Thought you understood we were trying to keep it balanced. You didn't push me out, Lena. You asked me to leave before the guests arrived. That wasn't balance. That was exclusion. Lena fell silent again. I added, this isn't just about one night. It's about every month, every year, where I gave and gave. And the one time I wasn't useful, I was removed like furniture that didn't dematch the decor, so you're punishing us? No, I said calmly. I'm adjusting. She didn't respond after that, just hung up. That week, I started calling around to check on a few things I had signed over in Amanda's name over the years. The gas bill was still under mine. So was the internet. So was the home insurance. I fixed that. I transferred everything back under their household. The companies were surprised I had kept paying that long without question. One woman on the phone even asked, "Are you sure, ma'am?" Like she thought I was having a bad day. I wasn't. I was finally thinking clearly. On Saturday morning, Amanda and Lena showed up together. They didn't warn me. I had just come back from the market, still, carrying 2 bags of groceries when I saw them standing at my porch. Amanda looked nervous. Lena had her arms crossed. "Mom," Amanda said, "we need to talk." I walked past them and unlocked my door, not inviting them in, but not stopping them either. They followed me into the kitchen. I unpacked my bags while they stood near the table like they didn't know whether to sit. "What is it?" I asked that. Amanda cleared her throat. "We didn't realize you had switched the bills over. You mean the ones I've been paying for 5 years?" I said, opening the fridge. "Yes, they're yours now. Where they should have been from. The start, that wasn't part of our agreement." "There was no agreement," I said, turning to face them. "There was a pattern. I kept giving. You kept accepting. That's not the same thing." Lena spoke next. "You're being really cold about this." "No," I said, being direct. "And if that feels cold to you, it says more about how you've been living than how I've been speaking." Amanda stepped forward. "We're struggling now. You cut everything at once. You didn't even give us time to adjust." "Did you give me time to adjust when you asked me to leave your house like a hired hand?" I asked. She went quiet. "You said it wasn't personal," I added. "But everything since then has been about money. Not a single conversation has been about how I felt, just how it affected your grocery list." Lena looked like she was about to say something, but cut her off. "You two had no problem using my name when the mortgage was late. Or when you needed help with Julia's school forms. But when it came time to make room at the table, suddenly I wasn't part of the family anymore." Amanda looked down. "That wasn't the intention, but it was the result," I said. "And now you want my money back. Like none of that happened." She nodded slowly. "We didn't handle it well." I stared at her. "Amanda, I'm your mother, not your bank, not your emergency contact, and not your scapegoat." She didn't respond. Lena broke the silence. "So what now? Are we just done?" "No," I said. "We're starting over. From zero. If you want to build something with me, it has to be real, not financial." They didn't like that answer. They left not long after, quiet, tense, and I didn't chase them that night. Julia called. "I hadn't expected it, Grandma." She said. Her voice was small. "Hi, sweetheart. Mom says you're mad at us." I sat on the couch, closing my eyes for a second. "No, honey, I'm not mad at you. Are you coming to my art show next month?" I hesitated because I made something for you, she added quickly. "It's a painting of a lady drinking tea with a big orange cat." I smiled. "I wouldn't miss it," I said. Later, I sat at my kitchen table and wrote a check directly to the art school. wasn't about control, was about boundaries. Julia wasn't the one who wronged me. Her parents had made choices. So had I now. It was time to live with them. The week after their visit, the silence returned. No more phone calls. No more surprise drop-ins. Not even texts. At first I expected something, maybe another apology or even another argument, but nothing came. Just stillness. And honestly, it felt like relief. I started filling my time with things I had postponed for years. I signed up for a ceramics class at the community center. Twice a week, I'd show up in an apron, shaping bowls that came out lopsided but made me proud anyway. The instructor, a woman named Carol, always smiled when I walked in and gave me tips without making me feel like a child. I hadn't realized how good it felt to do something just for myself. I also got back in touch with an old friend, Marlene. We used to work together at the elementary school back when I was still a teaching assistant. We hadn't seen each other in almost 10 years, but we picked up like nothing had changed. She invited me to a potluck at her house the following Saturday. I brought the same sweet potato casserole Amanda and Lena made me pack and leave with on Thanksgiving. This time, it was appreciated. The dish was scraped clean by the end of the night. People asked for the recipe. Nobody asked me to leave before dessert. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Julia's art teacher, Mrs. Carter. I just wanted to thank you for your continued support. Julia's been doing so well lately, and she's really proud of the painting she's working on for the winter showcase. Hearing that made something settle in my chest. Steady, solid. Thank you, I said. I'll be there. She paused. Her mom told me she wasn't sure if you'd be attending. I will, I said again. I wouldn't miss it. That Friday, I received a plain white envelope in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was Amanda's. Inside was a short note and a folded piece of paper. Mom, I know you're still upset. I don't blame you. I haven't handled this well. But I wanted you to know that we've started managing our own bills. Lena took on an extra shift at the hospital, and I started tutoring online at night. Not perfect, but we're figuring it out. I hope we can talk soon. Julia misses you. So do I. Love, love, Amanda. I read it twice. Maybe 3 times. Then I folded it back and placed it in the drawer where I kept old letters, photos, and school drawings Julia made when she was younger. I didn't call back. Not yet. It was good to know they were finally standing on their own. But that didn't erase what had happened. Respect couldn't be written in a note. It had to be lived. The winter showcase was on a Thursday evening, the week before Christmas. It was held in a small community hall with paper snowflakes taped to the windows and rows of folding chairs lined up in front of cardboard displays. Each student had their own section. I walked in just before 6 wearing a navy coat and holding a tin of cookies I had baked for the staff. Julia spotted me before I saw her. She ran across the room in a blur of pink sweater and sparkly headband and hugged me tight. You came, she said. I told you I would, I said. Her smile was wide and missing a front tooth. She took my hand and pulled me to her display. There, in the middle, was the painting she had mentioned. A woman with a big orange cat sitting at a round table with a teacup and a crooked candle. It was rough in places, the brushstrokes too thick. Cat's paws uneven, but it was wonderful. I painted it for you, she said. The cat's name is Pancake. Pancake. She giggled, 'cause he's flat when he lays down. I smiled and pulled her into another hug. You did a great job, sweetheart. Amanda arrived a few minutes later. She stood on the opposite side of the room, talking to another parent. We made eye contact once. She gave a small wave. I nodded back. She didn't try to come over. She gave me space. That was new. That weekend, I received another envelope. This one had a Christmas card with a photo of Julia and the cat painting on the front. Inside was a short note. Mom, thank you for going to the showcase. It meant a lot to Julia. I'm still hoping we can sit down in person sometime. Not to ask for anything. Just to talk. Merry Christmas. Amandite was polite, careful. Different. I put it on my kitchen counter, next to the vase of poinsettias I'd picked up from the store the day before. I didn't answer right away. Wasn't sure I wanted to, but I didn't throw it out either. On Christmas Eve, I received a knock on the door. Not loud. It's just one of those soft, hesitant ones you give when you're not sure if you should be knocking at all. It was Julia. She stood with a red hat pulled down over her ears and a small gift bag in her hand. "Hi, Grandma," she said. "Mom said it was okay if I dropped this off by myself." Opened the door, confused. "Where's your mom?" "In the car," she said, pointing down the street. Inside the bag was a card with glittery stickers all over it and a little clay ornament shaped like a teacup. "I made it in art class," she said proudly. "For your tree." I looked at her, this little girl who hadn't asked for any of the tension between us, who just wanted to be loved and remembered. "Would you like some hot chocolate?" I asked. Her eyes lit up. "Yes." She stepped inside, pulled off her coat and shoes like she'd done 100 times before, and walked straight to the kitchen like she knew where everything was, because she did. Some things hadn't changed, and that was worth holding on to. Julia sat at the table, sipping her hot chocolate while I warmed up to small plates of the cranberry cookies I had made that morning. She told me about her school project, how her friend Sarah lost a tooth in the lunchroom, and that she was going to dress up like Amelia Earhart for History Day in January. It felt normal. No tension, no weight in the air. Just a little girl talking to her grandmother like everything was still okay, like she never had to pick a side. After about 30 minutes, she stood up and said she should probably head back. "Mom's waiting," she added, glancing toward the front door. I walked her out, helped her zip up her coat, and handed her a small tin of cookies to take with her. She gave me one last hug before trotting down the path from the sidewalk. Amanda stepped out of the car. She didn't wave this time. She walked up slowly, staying a few feet from the porch. "Thank you for letting her in," she said, voice low. "She's always welcome," I replied. "You know that." Amanda nodded and rubbed her gloved hands together. "She misses you. Every day." I didn't respond right away. I wanted to, but I needed to make sure that whatever came next wasn't just temporary. "She's not the one who pushed me out, Amanda." She looked down. "I know." We stood there in silence for a few seconds, the air sharp but not unbearable. "I didn't come here to defend anything," she said. I wanted to say thank you. For the art classes, for going to the showcase, for today." "I didn't do any of that for you," I said. "I did it for her. I know Amanda said, but I'm still thankful." She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. She held it out, but I didn't take it right away. "It's not money," she said. "It's just something we wanted you to see." I took it and placed it on the porch table without opening it. "I'll look at it later." Amanda nodded again. "Merry Christmas, Mom. Drive safe." She turned and walked back to the car. Julia waved through the window as they pulled away. I stood on the porch until their car disappeared around the corner. Later that evening, opened the envelope. Inside was a folded letter written by hand. "Dear Mom, we know we hurt you. No excuse for how we handled Thanksgiving. We excluded you, even if we told ourselves it was for practical reasons. What we really did was remove someone who's always been the center of every holiday we've ever known. We thought we were growing into our own traditions, but we built them on your recipes, your habits, your effort, and then we erased the person who taught us all of it. You've always given quietly. We took advantage of that. And when you stopped, we realized just how much you held us together. We don't expect forgiveness right away. We don't expect anything, actually. But we hope to earn back some part of the trust we broke. Love, Amanda and Lenite, wasn't a long letter, but it was the first time either of them admitted everything plainly. No excuses. No shifting of blame. I folded the paper again and placed it in the same drawer where I had kept Amanda's earlier note, the one from before Christmas. The drawer was getting full, but for the first time, it didn't feel like a collection of damage. It felt like a record of something changing. By New Year's Eve, Amanda had texted a few more times. Short messages, no pressure. Amanda, we're doing a small dinner at home. No guests, just us and Julia. We'd love to have you if you feel up for it. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. Instead, I wrote back, I'm not ready for dinners yet. But I'd like to pick Julia up next weekend. I thought we could bake something together. She answered within 5 minutes. Be so happy. Thank you. That Saturday, Julia and I spent the afternoon making cinnamon rolls. Her hands got sticky with flour and the icing was too thick, but she didn't care. We laughed the whole time. She asked if we could make them again next week. I said yes. She asked if we could do her birthday cake in March together. Just the two of us. I said yes to that too. And then she asked, are you still mad at Mommy? Didn't answer right away. I looked at her and said, I'm not mad. I just needed space. Grown-ups forget to ask for it sometimes. She nodded like she understood more than a 7-year-old should by the end of January. I had paid off a few final things tied to Amanda's name and closed the last joint account. We had ever shared. Everything now had only my name on it. The house, the bills. The bank. And my time. For the first time in years, nothing about my life was shared by default. It was offered by choice, and I was finally choosing myself. I haven't returned to Amanda and Lena's house yet. Not for dinners, not for holidays. They've asked gently a few times, and each time I've said the same thing. Not yet. Because I know now that being part of a family doesn't mean offering everything until you disappear. It means showing up because you're respected, not just needed. And I'm not going back until I'm sure they understand the difference. For now, I have Julia. I have peace. And have a table set for one that doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels earned. And that's enough.